If you enjoy the content, I would appreciate you hitting the subscribe button and checking out my socials.
One round left to prove they're worth it, to save their lives in Pro League after what we saw in the previous season.
Shooting everything but the player through the smoke. It's so unfortunate. Wario looking for the opening frag. He might have done enough here. Shush needs multiple. He can't deliver. And now it's a 4 versus 3 advantage of a wide open A bomb site. Strong Molotov locks the CTs out. It's gone full send. Tess says no.
No,
Is
not
this
like
it?
that.
Are we saying goodbye to Heroic?
The Counter-Strike that has helped define this modern era, and Heroic might just be going out in the group stages of Pro League. And Monty, they've got to deal with Canadian, and they will. Heroic bow out in the group stages of ESL Pro League, something that no one predicted coming into this. This is a new low for Team Heroic.
Coming into ESL Pro League 18, Heroic was expected to be a no-brainer to get out of groups and insert themselves in the picture for title contention. Yes, Heroic may have slid off track a little bit, with their 3rd to 4th showing at Gamers 8 and 56 at Cologne, but the events prior to them too weren't something to just ignore, right?
This event is a proving ground for Heroic. This is an event to re-establish a narrative of like, yeah, these group stage games are easy, and that was the narrative in Cologne, right? The stat we came into the playoffs for Heroic in Cologne was they've lost 2 group games. Regardless of who they're facing, tier 1 or bottom of the barrel teams, they lost 2 group games in 6 months. That is unbelievable. So coming back to Pro League, I have full expectation that they run through to the playoffs. If they don't, that's when I think the narrative really shifts. Playoffs is a whole different beast.
The matches for Group B were set. Heroic, on paper, had an easy matchup to begin with.
Big names straight out of the gates. We've got Heroic. Talk about a baptism by fire. Rooster, rank 86 coming into this one, are going to be in some trouble.
I think so. I think that this first game might be, listen, a little one-sided.
But this second half here, very promising for this pistol now as they try to chase more frags, but Shush is denying all of them. Getting the reload in. Not getting the ace though, but the team will pick up the slack. That was nasty.
Rooster was utterly outmatched. They couldn't contain the aggression.
At the same time, Stout moves all the way down mid. Not watched for, he gets a free opener.
They had no room to breathe and operate their plan.
Just creeping, flashes here, spot them fall back. Great timing, that really kills the time for Rooster. Great grenade as well.
They execute fell face down, arse up.
Timing of that smoke. Wow. Just delivering, repositioning Tesses. That's a very deliberate gap, and it is a slaughter. They're getting mauled like a child that climbed into a lion enclosure at the zoo.
And if they outnumbered Heroic, well, they didn't like those odds.
Canadian with 13,000, has little to lose there, going at the 5-7 swing, and that bomb has been planted, and oh, he's found a second one as well. He's got the distance, he's got the race for the flick. Canadian shows no mercy, nasty work there with the 1 versus 3.
The game was a showcase of an expected dominant performance by Heroic, only giving the Australian opposition a total of 6 rounds in the series. But what followed in the next couple of days was a slippery slope to elimination.
Just get him off the bomb using that smoke. It's all up to one man. It's Crimbo up against the world. And 1, 2, 3. Crimbo takes them into the final round of OT. So they will have to just take these fights. And that is what Mantu was hoping for. The first is good. The second is better. And the third is round secured. As Jabbi leaping out to his demise. Mantu no scope required as the quad kill comes through from Big Clan's Orpa.
Looking to stamp authority over this one. They're running out of time. Tesses gets onto the defuse. No way, Questel! That is unbelievable!
Baits out the shot, sprays them down, and he finds elimination point for Monty. What a play to deliver!
But want to get individual training and CS classes for 30 days for 50 cents on your first month?
Affirmative.
Well, thanks to today's sponsor, Gosu Academy, you can.
Yes, my friends, yes!
Gosu Academy is the CS school where you can join frequent classes hosted by various pro players and coaches. In these classes, you can submit demos in the Discord to be reviewed and critiqued by the coaches, or join them in theory sessions on a map. And I will also be hosting some of these sessions myself. On top of this, they host weekly scrims where you can jump into a 5v5 with coaches on both teams, helping you during and after the game.
Our enemies tremble.
This entire course is $29 per month, but again, you can try the course for pretty much free for 30 days by using code Smirky at checkout, which equates to 12 classes. Now go on and rank up. A huge aspect that hurt Heroic in the majority of their games was their pistols. On paper, you look at the stats and you think, hey, that don't seem too bad, almost won half their pistols.
No.
Throughout all of their games in the EPL, they won 44.4% of their pistols. However, if we remove the Rooster Game, where they won 3 out of 4 pistols, their win rate drops to 35%. And if we want to be even more cynical, they won only one map after Rooster. So, if we remove that one map of Overpass, their score drops to 25%. Winning only 25% of your pistols after the Rooster Game, excluding the one map they won, consistently puts Heroic on the back foot, constantly having to catch up, where sometimes they do, but eventually the game gets closed out because it's too much. Bad pistols can equal bad games. On their CT pistols, they would struggle against Big in particular due to their masterfully placed util nullifying Heroic's defenses, allowing Big to take space. On Inferno, they did this perfectly, where Heroic will be doing a 3-man trap setup on Car, which Tabson actually triggers with a decoy. And Big will do an apps pop where Shush and Tessus gets demolished by flashes. Another round I want to highlight for their CT side is against Mouse. In this, they are doing a 2-2-1 setup, with Jabbi fast boosted into apps for a silent but fast push, and Starn is waiting under for a kill. However, Starn makes a huge error with the timing on Exertion. You could say Starn just got timinged, but I think this is a failure in knowledge of knowing the timings. You can see Exertion would do what every other normal underplayer would, make his way towards B, start shifting and peeking. So for Starn to underestimate this timing is a pretty big error in the round. With this advantage, Heroic will get steamrolled into an A split, where they get isolated in unfair fights. On their T sides, I think it's a case of either them being picked off before an execute, or they do a sloppy job or run into a nasty setup. On Ancient in particular, they did give a few openings away on the pistols. Against Big, they're going to be in a 1-1-3 setup, with Starn trying to get the opener on ramp while boosted. And well, Sin is like,
see a person, bang, just gone instantly.
Sin, spotting the shadow of Starn, takes him out the round. After this, Heroic tries to make an attempt to go into A, but it doesn't work out, with them being picked off one by one. And we had another scenario with ramp on Ancient, where in this round Tessus will be jiggling at the bottom of ramp, as his team gets ready for an early execute. But because the way he is jiggling, his arm is visible to Wario and gets wrecked by 3 players peeking him. Personally, I would have liked to see him either jiggle a bit further back, so it's harder for Monty to spot him without him noticing, and just makes him a smaller target in general. But the bigger problems will arise during their execute. When Heroic pops onto the site, they do a good job in being quick and covering ground. Yet, they do a sloppy job with clearing their angles, as Wario from Kobe doubles up. But what about against Monty on Mirage, where they wanted an early B execute, but gets put to a halt by Monty's nasty setup? After some back and forth, they do manage to get onto the site and start fighting the B players. But the setup was that strong, it gave time for the CTs to swarm the B bomb site. Not much Heroic could have done in this scenario, as they just went to the wrong side. During their CT side, they will sometimes give a man advantage. With Heroic being such an active presence on all maps, is it surprising?
Put on your tinfoil hats, everybody, because we're about to go fucking deep into this one.
In some of the openings they give away, I will say there are some mistakes and errors that did play out. This could range from whiff shots, a bad flash that would give their teammates false confidence to peek out, but to play devil's advocate, there are quite a few openings I think are hard to fault. This can range from Jabbi hitting the dirt early, trying to throw a top mid molly through the window smoke, which Torzi probably knew Heroic does a lot. Start jiggling with a smoke until he gets dropped with a very nice AWP shot. But a round I want to go a little more in detail about is round 6 on Ancient against Big. Heroic are very much about making their opponents feel uncomfortable, going for early fights that ruins their plans. In this round, they will try this where they smoke off the door. Testis will get flashed in, with Starn, who is admittedly a bit behind. But when he peeks, there are 4 members of Big on lane.
What is your problem?
And unfortunately, with just 1 or 2 flashes, it's very difficult to get all 4 members, and instead, only these 2 are blind. I think this is a unlucky round to try this on Heroic's behalf. If I told you Heroic like re-aggressing as a reaction to what the T side is doing, you probably won't be surprised, and neither should their opposition. During EPL, Heroic's re-aggression does sometimes get punished, and it was done pretty decently by Big on Ancient. Man2 gets the opening on Starn, and instinctively positions himself onto ledge, where he catches Cadian. I believe Man2 knew Heroic would react in some way, especially using mid, as they just killed a cave player, and Crimbo is already up ramp. So the only options Heroic has is to do something mid but house gets smoked off, or to push main, and well, Man2 was right. And a few rounds later, Big takes mid control and Heroic wants it back. So what do you think they're gonna do? Tabson, having the idea in the back of his mind that Heroic might do something aggressive, stays laser focused on house, where Jabbi presents himself.
Just like the simulation.
I would say I would like a flash to come out from A to help the house players peek out, but well, they didn't have any. And it must be something in the water, or the linear re-aggression paths of Ancient, as going off topic for a little bit, Astralis was able to expose a similar reaction from Heroic during Cologne, where after getting donor control, Heroic tried to double peek out of house, but Astralis was waiting for them, along with other different parts of the map. And I'm not saying all their re-aggressions are now being countered or they're useless, but I'm saying some of their reactions may now seem expected, or they might just lose a 50-50 fight. More about Heroic's re-aggression can be found in this video. But there were some rounds where they messed up big time. So here's the scenario. Heroic are in a 4v3 with the bomb stuck on site, in their possession. After Shush and Jabbi are done putting Big through the meat grinder, they choose to peek into Donut and well,
Choices have consequences.
these 2 deaths will allow Big to come back into the round, where they eventually close it out, with all the entrances that are now open. I don't think the double peek was a bad idea, but I believe when Jabbi died, Shush shouldn't have pushed so hard to get the kill onto Man2, as Man2 had plenty of time to reset and get that kill. Another round I want to take a look at is against Mouse on Nuke. In this, Heroic are going to take the gloves off and get scrappy.
You want the gloves off? They're off.
Making their way into lobby early and getting the opening. However, because Heroic are at match point, they were forced to buy with the little money they had. And well, Cadian can't do much with a smoke and an MP9 outside. So Mouse could do a lot of things outside, and probably will do as a reaction to the lobby kill. To try and surprise Mouse, Heroic will try a double peek out of secret. And I really like this, as it's a smart way to abuse the T-side reaction, but my problem is when they go for the peek. Starn will lead the push with Jabbi behind. Starn gets contact and dies. Meanwhile, Jabbi and Cadian are just chilling. For Cadian, I do feel like it can be hard to help, as he does have an MP9 against AKs, and when Starn dies from silo, he isn't visible for Cadian to fight, but I still feel like he could try to fight or deal damage from this area. For Jabbi, I'm just not a fan of how he sits around as Starn is getting torn up outside. I believe at this point, he should either be peeking red or silo at a minimum, so at least the trade is available, but nothing is attempted. This loss in the man advantage and outside control will cause Heroic to get snowballed and eventually lose the map. And the last thing I want to discuss on the CT side is just being able to win fights. On any team, any map, there are times where a round is just dependent on winning a 50-50 fight, and nothing much you can critique apart from pull the trigger quicker.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock!
We had a scenario against Big on Inferno, where they had a pretty nasty 3-man setup ready to activate in top mid, but unfortunately Cadian loses a fight against Mantu, who peeked him. Play the same peek multiple times, and you will see different results between the two AWPers. With all these deaths, Shush and Tessus will try to bring it back by pushing down mid, but they die. High risk, high reward, I don't mind this round. Moving over to the offensive side. From watching, I only saw 2 areas that hurt their T-side, apart from their pistols. The first being that I felt some scenarios were a bit rushed. For example, against Big on Inferno, they will go for car control, but will get pushed back with counter util. Soon as the CT molly is gone, they immediately come back with a pop flash to try and fight the retake, but it doesn't end well. Personally, I would have liked to see either Starn or Shush use one of their mollies on either sandbags or yellow to ensure they get car control with the pop flash, but that doesn't happen. I like to think if this scenario did happen again and Heroic responded with the same way, a very similar outcome would occur without a molly. Against Mouse, Heroic failed a B split due to the defensive efforts from Yimpat, but in the next round, Heroic makes the call to fast execute onto B with some fake mid pressure to try and take eyes away from B. When the execute begins, it gets stopped right in its tracks, essentially losing too much to win the round. I'm not a fan of this, as Heroic was able to get mid control previously with maybe an opening, but the fast execute just seems like they're putting too much eggs into one small basket. The next round, Heroic are forced onto Galils with some players missing quite a bit of util. And on the last round of this game, Heroic are on their last legs, and for the final call, Cadian calls his team to execute A early as he runs down Cat with just a window smoke.
What?
Again, it feels like a rush call that wasn't properly thought through. Realistically, the probability of Cadian actually getting the kill against a short or comp player with no supportive util or players is pretty damn low, but I guess he wants a high risk, high reward play. With Heroic now in a 4v5, they tried to pop flash into the A site with late smokes, and well, It looks like your average Face-It game, with all these players stuck at Tetris, and they eventually lose the map. Now the second area that hurt their T-side was just being outplayed. Heroic still has that identity of having creative ideas for their T-side that can outplay their opponents with their hive mind style. In round 10 against Mouse, they ran circles around them, doing outside smokes and creeping secrets silently. Once in position, the remaining players do outside wrap smokes, causing Mouse to take focus away from lower to worry about outside. Meanwhile, Heroic is getting the bomb down. But when trying similar ideas, they sometimes just get outplayed by their opposition in ways I think it's hard to predict or fix outside the server. On overpass against Monty, Heroic starts with an opening kill on A and Monty with short control. But as Monty gives up short control a few seconds later, Jabbi is faking monster presence, while the remaining Heroic players are grouping up to do an A crunch. Monty makes the choice to gamble the A site with 3 players after Jabbi's fake util. This unfortunately leads to the downfall of Heroic's A execute, with Shush being killed from toilets and Jabbi being locked out. On the site, DemQ takes the attention as Sundai Young cleans them up. It's hard to fault Heroic in this round, as Monty made the right gamble, yet I don't believe this is just a coincidence.
But as one trained in the Force, you know that true coincidences are rare.
The monster util could be seen as a clear fake from DemQ's perspective, and a cue to rotate to A. Another round I want to look at is against Mouse. In this, they're going to do some early vent util on A to help squeeze that util from the A bomb site, and diagonal smokes to bait rotations. From this point, they want to get Starn to sneak his way into main with supportive flashes from Cadian, while his team executes A from lobby. But this doesn't go quite right. Because of the way diagonal smokes are designed, there is a gap in garage for Frozen to peek out of. Cadian, being aware of this, will first flash Starn to peek main, and the second to get Frozen off the angle. However, the second flash can easily be spotted, allowing Frozen to turn around and get the kill onto Starn. I think if Starn was able to get into main and get the kill onto Exertion on Hut, it would prevent Exertion from getting that double kill, and allow Heroic to focus on Heaven where Shuri is swinging out. It's difficult to try and fix the outside take, as if you try to change the garage smoke, you will probably have a gap in red, allowing Frozen to see if players are going down secret. And also Silo is the only position for Cadian to throw these flashes if he wants to do the Molly Hut. But alternatively, you could get Tessus to throw the Molly since he isn't doing much at the start of the round, and get Cadian to come outside with Starn to throw the flashes more like this. I just want to quickly talk about Jabbi, as I have heard a lot of community discussions around him. Jabbi's overall rating is at 1.04, which may look underwhelming as his individual ability is pretty high, and is supposed to be a second star on the team. But if we split the ratings between CT and T, his CT rating is 1.11, which is really good, especially with the rotator roles he plays, getting into a lot of fights. His T-side rating is 0.97, which isn't great. With his T-side rolls, I feel like it can be hard for Jabbi to find impact, as he will just be holding an area down by himself, or sent into a site to be traded. With that said though, that doesn't mean he didn't make any errors during EPL, and I want to take a look at a few of those rounds. On the T-side pistol against Mouse, Heroic wanted to rush A with Jabbi supporting. However, when they went to rush, they got chewed up. So what went wrong? If we look at Jabbi's flashes meant for these side players, well, they missed. I'm not sure if it was nerves or just a genuine error, but these blunders caused Heroic to lose the pistol. But a trait I saw from Jabbi is that he can sometimes bait a bit too much. Against Monte, Starn is getting into a bit of a pickle. Meanwhile, Jabbi is kind of just sat there. I guess he was worried about Divider, but I don't know. I would have liked to see him peek when Starn was fighting against a pistol. On the nuke round we saw earlier, where Jabbi is just sat in secret not really helping, until again, it's too late. On Inferno, Heroic was in trouble with taking Banana against Big on the anti-eco, and they tried to react by going fast top mid. However, Jabbi is not in apps yet, which is fine, but my problem is because he wasn't in apps, he hasn't cleared anything. So he tries going super fast and gets caught by Crimbo. Personally, I would have liked to see Jabbi take it slow as he goes into apps and clears holes. Then maybe speed it up to balcony, as his team isn't even out top mid when he dies. I could show a bunch more mistakes that in a compilation makes Jabbi look bad, but in truth, he is a really good player with difficult T-side roles, and mistakes can happen to everybody with bad choices or missing trades, especially for someone who isn't as experienced at tier 1 and does take time. Just look at round 2 against Monte, where Jabbi gets the 1v2 winning a force buy with great decision making with his peaks. So I think the main question is, does Heroic need a roster change? I'm gonna say no. All these players are quality and it's difficult to find replacements, along with their issues being more macro based than micro. If we get towards the end of the year and Heroic is shitting the bed, then yeah, I think we need to see changes in 2 or more players to see a difference. You need a strat you can use on your T side for Source 2 Mirage. Check out this Mirage B split that I showcased, where I gave a simple but yet detailed plan of how to split B on the T side Mirage on Source 2. That video can be found in the description. Apart from that, thanks for watching, cheers goes to Academy for the sponsor, and see ya in a bit.